This show is created for you by the media team of the Accounting Association at Cal State Northridge. Welcome to our 5th AA podcast this semester, the show where we explore the accounting world one asset and liability at a time. My name is Mariana, and today we wanted to talk about some tips and tricks for the interviews. Michael and Anika are here with me, and our guest Brianna. Brianna, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I am Brianna Alonzo. I am the Vice President of the CSUN Accounting Association. I will be graduating next spring, and I am signed with KPMG.
Thank you. So we hope the Meet the Firms went great for all of you, and you were able to utilize all the advice that our guests were giving. So this week, we'll be talking about what you will need to do to ace the interviews. First, I would like to mention that it is very important to check your emails in Handshake. I'd recommend 2 to 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and probably before going to bed. You don't want to miss an important email at this moment and end up missing your interview. Next, it is time to prep. Brianna, how did you prepare for the interviews? Which CSUN and AA events did you attend?
Preparing for an event is really scary and nerve-wracking. I think one of the best ways to prepare for an interview is one, just know yourself, honestly. Know your resume like the back of your hand and be prepared to expand on what is on there to give your experiences character and really get to know who you are and handle situations. So one of the main things I did when preparing is getting practice. I went to AA's mock interviews and got a ton of advice on how to, 1, stay calm, 2, just be myself and not be so robotic, and 3, like I said before, know yourself and your experiences just because they really want to get to know who you are beyond your resume and application, so just prepare for that.
From the events that you have attended, which one do you find the most helpful?
I personally love networking workshop. It is the best way to kind of talk to multiple professionals at once. Since it's not as formal as Meet the Firms, you get more advice and it's not as nerve-wracking and just a lot of practice.
Right, and then when it comes to online interviews, are there any differences? Michael, what are you doing differently this semester to prepare?
Obviously, since this semester is online, all the interviews will also be online. All the workshops and noon meetings and office hours and Meet the Firms events were great practice for online interviews because you get to see yourself and you get to see what the interviewer sees when they're talking to you. Luckily, this semester I became a media director, which means I got a new mic and a new laptop with a pretty decent HD webcam. I think that it's a really underrated advantage that you can give yourself. To me, an interview is not just about content, but also presentation. Having good equipment is a relatively effortless way to stand out this semester. Another big difference this semester is how one would go about nonverbal communication. Remember to practice your smile and give them nonverbal signs that you are listening intently.
Right, so remember about the camera and the mic. You want to make sure the professionals can see you and hear you clearly. But also, Anika, is there any other advice you would give about the setting? Because as we all know, impression counts.
I made sure to sit in an area where I had the best lighting, which was like near my window or near like a lamp. I also made sure that my laptop's camera was clean, so I would make sure to clean it before so it won't look blurry. And I sat somewhere where there won't be a lot of noise, and also I made sure like my background looked clean.
Right, so you have to make sure the professionals can see you and hear you. But also don't forget that you still have to look professional. Even though you're in your house, don't forget to look sharp. And the first interview, just like any other interview, it can be very stressful and scary. You forget what to say, stutter, and keep touching your face. Well, at least that's what I do when I'm nervous, right? So, Brianna, what is your advice on how to stay calm? I know you've mentioned staying yourself. Can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, so based on personal experiences, when I get nervous, I fidget a lot. I start getting really hot and just, ramble. Can't really do that in an interview, right? So one major thing is just breathe. And I know it is so simple, but trust me, it is okay to take a second to gather your thoughts and figure out what you are trying to say. Obviously, do not take so long, but professionals know you are nervous. And honestly, just think this is a longer, extended, formal coffee chat. Also, be confident. You made it to this interview round. That's huge. Be excited and be proud of yourself. If you need to look in the mirror and stand like a superhero and say, I got this before you interview, by all means do that, because I know it helps boost my confidence when I do that. So whatever helps you get confident and just take a second to relax, do what you have to do.
Right, so that's a really good way to get your confidence up. But also, the one thing that helps me is knowing that I am prepared for the interview. Anika, what is the main concern that you had before your first interview, and how did you get ready for it?
My main concern was that I was really nervous about the questions that I was going to be asked during the interview. And to prepare for that, I asked my mentor to ask me some practice interview questions since she had recruited a semester before me, and that was really helpful. And I also prepared by writing a list of questions to ask at the end of the interview.
Right, and I'm sure that now everyone's wondering, so what are they going to ask, and what should we ask? Michael, what's your advice?
All the interviews I've had spent most of the time talking about the experiences on my resume. Definitely know yourself well and think about what skills you've learned and what responsibilities you've fulfilled at your prior workplaces or volunteering experiences or extracurricular activities. Also, you should try to learn as much as possible about the position you are applying for. The interviewer will ask you why you want to enter a certain line of service or why you want to work at their firm. Lastly, try to remember some notable stories you can tell when they ask you about your experience. The hardest questions for me were some variation of, tell me about a time you failed. Being able to get past and learn from failure is important in any endeavor, so make sure you are able to express how you handle and learn from your mistakes.
Right, so try to get as much information as you can. But how about if you don't really know what field you want to go to? Brianna, do you have any advice about that?
If you are not sure about what field you would like to get into, it is totally okay. We are students and most of us do not have enough experience to make this life decision on your career. I think be honest with yourself and be vocal on it with recruiters and the professionals you are talking to. Also, remember you are not locked into the practice once you sign. A majority of firms will allow you to try new positions if you don't like the original one you sign with. It just all takes time and accommodations when you start, but don't feel so pressured as of right now.
So, Anika, I know that you already knew that you were going into tax prior to the interview. So, can you tell us about how your experience was different? How did the interview go? What kind of questions did you ask?
And with all the firms, like there was obviously a few rounds of interviews, and they had asked me like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer tax or audit? And obviously I knew I was going to go into tax because of my prior experiences. And at the end of my interviews, I had asked them like, okay, let's say I decide to change my mind on tax. Will there be a way for me to progress into another part of like accounting?
So, you mentioned that you had interviews with different firms. Can you tell us more about that? How does that work? How did you decide?
So, like a few examples would be I had interviews with like HCVT, Anderson, and a few other local firms, and I basically was deciding based off of my last interview. So obviously there's a few rounds of interviews. Some of them were through like Zoom. Another one was like through the phone. It was all basically just like conversations. The way I decided was like all the way at the end, I went through all of my interviews and I figured out that the way I'm going to choose which firm I'm going to go with is based off of the people I got along with the most, and I feel like I had more similarities with.
Right, so Anika mentioned second round interviews. Brianna, is that always the case?
It depends on the firm, honestly. Some firms will just leave it at the 30-minute on-campus interviews, or right now, virtual on-campus interviews. I think that is one thing to ask the recruiter, definitely, to see what are the steps that they personally need to take post the interview, if they need to prepare for another second round of interviews, or kind of what to wait on for the offer decision or a second round.
And how about after the interview? When do you know how you did, and is there anything you can or should do?
I think I found out after my interview about a week or two after. However, it varies per firm. on when you will get your news. I say in between from getting your results or any information, keep in touch, talk to the professionals you felt a connection with, and keep up the networking past meet the firms and interviews. Just don't solely leave your networking to those designated events. Reach out, send emails, offer to do a Zoom call or anything like that.
And when you say reaching out and emailing, what do you mean? What would you say? How do you stay in touch? Kind of like, what do you even talk about?
Post interviews, send a thank you email. That's where it starts. The professionals who interview you or go to these networking events, they want to help. They want to see the new generation of accountants going into their firm. So don't be afraid to send out an email with your thank you saying, oh, can we have a Zoom call? I would like to get to know you a little bit better along with the firm. And then that way it is a little bit more informal and not so pressure and nerve-wracking about talking to a professional. Just connect with them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, that's where you can see how long they've been with the firm, how long they've been in that practice, or some of their interests. And I think that will save you some of the questions, or you can derive more questions based on their experiences on whatever they have listed on their LinkedIn.
Right. And then to wrap up the podcast, Brianna, do you have any overall advice you would like to give?
Yeah, so overall, my best advice coming from my friend Jesus, who did virtual interviews, is the process starts with you. Have a good background, stare at your camera or look at yourself on the screen to keep virtual eye contact, and ask questions at the end that you care about at the firm. Be confident, and honestly, good luck on your interview, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brianna, for being here today and for all the amazing advice.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, everyone.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Tune in next week when we will talk about how to make a decision after the interviews. Subscribe to our channel for more tips, and don't forget to hit like, turn on the bell notifications, and we'll see you next week.